Welcome to another Army Showcase. My name is Nicholas.
I'm David.
And I'm showing off his beautiful Dark Angels collection today. Now, we just finished playing a game, and we thought while you were here, we invited you to bring up your entire collection, because you've been painting for a while, and we wanted to show off your beautiful collection of Dark Angels miniatures here. These are beautiful.
Thank you.
How long have you been collecting for?
I started just over 2 years ago, and I started my Dark Angels about a year ago, or a little over a year ago.
This is 1 year of work?
Yeah.
That's incredible. I don't think I've painted that many miniatures within a year.
I have a sickness.
Well, that's some serious dedication. And these are all painted to a very high quality. Like, I really like the detail you put in here. Why did you choose Dark Angels?
Well, I knew I wanted to do a Space Marine Force, but I wasn't sure originally which one, so I did some looking around at the different chapters. And the two that aesthetically grabbed me the most were the Dark Angels and the Black Templar.
Both solid choices.
Yeah, and in the end, I felt like the Dark Angels, because of the different wings, gave me a lot of options. So I could, first of all, paint things in different color schemes, but it would also give me lots of different ways to play the army, so I didn't feel as locked into one style of play.
So you're relatively new to the hobby then?
Yes and no. I've been interested in Warhammer since the very early 90s.
Yeah.
Ironically, I told myself for years and years that I couldn't do the hobby part. I couldn't paint the miniatures. I said, there's no way.
Yeah, right.
There's no way I could paint that. I don't have very steady hands. I'm not very artistic. So I kept telling myself I'm not going to do it. Then I played the Dawn of War games, however long that was ago. And that really put an itch in me, but I still said, yeah, but I can't paint those miniatures. It would just look terrible.
Were you like intimidated?
Absolutely. I was convinced that there was no way I could paint them up and have them look good. And then I found PlayOn. I stumbled across this video with these two guys playing this huge battle of Space Marines versus Tyranids, and I thought, wow, this is really something. This is really cool. Oh, I kind of want to do that. And so I watched through basically the entire PlayOn backlog, and I kept more and more wanting to play, and I kept saying, no, you can't do it, you can't do it. And finally, I just said, I have to. I have to do it. And so I said to my wife, okay, I want to try this. If I can't do the painting, I'm going to need you to paint things for me. So we got the 9th edition starter kit. And I actually originally started with Necrons because I really loved them from the Dawn of War game.
Yeah.
It didn't go great at first, but I very quickly ramped up. And I think a real key for me was accepting that each model wasn't going to be perfect and it wasn't going to be exactly what I wanted. But I told myself, okay, finish this model and then pick one thing that you want to do better on the next model. And then the next thing I know,
What's some of the first ones you've done?
these regular intercessors here are some of the first Dark Angels that I ever painted.
Now, you've put a lot of work in these. I see a lot of conversions across this army here. Like they've got custom hoods. It looks like you got custom shoulder pads. Are those custom backpacks?
Yep.
Yeah, they've got even like Dark Angels logos on the backpacks.
Yes.
Even that's a lot of conversion work.
Almost every single model in my army has some custom bit or custom basing bits or something along those lines to them.
Wow. Yeah, no, there is a lot of customization here. I see it. I see the love here, especially this guy. I love this banner. So what is this? This is
a Blade Guard Ancient, and then this is a 3D printed custom banner.
And you managed to nail that bone white color over here, and you can really see that. I love the stark contrast. That's one thing I kind of really like about Dark Angels is the stark contrast between the bone white, the green. So this is Deathwing.
Yep.
Dark Angels proper.
Greenwing, yep.
Green Wing. Is it actually called Green Wing?
Unofficially, yes.
Okay, and then Raven Wing, which is your
Yes.
fast bikes and stuff like that.
Yep.
And if you're unfamiliar with Dark Angels, they're more a knightly order of Space Marines, so they have a lot of motifs that are kind of like Crusades and knights from the medieval ages and stuff like that. They come from a world called Caliban, which is a very scary world to be on, well, originally, until they slayed all the monsters and went monster hunting.
And then their world got blown up. And
That's true. The world did get blown up.
And now they fly around in a giant space monastery. That's all that's left of their planet. So,
The Dark Angels are the first first founding chapter.
They were the first Legion in the original Crusade. So they were the first Space Marine Legion created. Before there was the Legions were even created, the Dark Angels existed. And the Emperor basically tested all of his ideas for strategy and organization with them.
And from the lore, they have been consumed by this hunt for what they call the Fallen.
Yes.
Which is basically a bunch of Dark Angels turned traitor.
Right.
And they had a big civil war just amongst themselves and tried to cover it up. And all those Fallen have been scattered throughout the galaxy, and they've been hunting them down for the last 10,000 years.
Yes.
And every time they get a whiff of them, they hunt them down and try to capture them and find all their dark secrets and atone for their sins, essentially.
Yes, and so that's another thing that I love about the Dark Angels is there's circles within circles is the sort of phrase. They pretend to be Codex compliant with the Codex Astartes.
They're not Codex compliant.
But it's just to not draw attention. And the funny thing is, if you read in some of the codexes and supplements and things, the Inquisition knows that something is up with the Dark Angels, but they're so afraid of the Ultramarines that they don't want to anger the Dark Angels because they think the Dark Angels are basically the only force left in the galaxy that could actually go toe-to-toe with the Ultramarines if they go bad.
If ever the Ultramarines... Oh, interesting.
Because Rabute Guilliman has come back,
Yeah.
and he basically commands the loyalty of the Ultramarines and all Ultramarines successor chapters. The only other of the Space Marines that has that sort of connection between all of the successors is the Dark Angels. So if Guilliman ever went bad, the Dark Angels are the only force that could stand up to
They're
him.
the only counter. And in recent lore, we actually have the Primarch of the Dark Angels returning.
Yes.
So there's a model for him. I noticed you don't have him here, but I'm assuming that's on the docket.
Yeah, he's still in the box on the painting table. I haven't gotten to him yet.
Let's talk about the lore for a bit, because it's kind of fun. The recent lore, basically, the Primarch has come back, and he's started recruiting some of these Fallen. He's basically gone to the Fallen that these Dark Angels have been hunting. That you are traitors, we'll kill you, we'll torture you, all these kind of things. And he's been forgiving some of them, and basically making his own group of, aren't they actually called like the Forgiven or something like that? Or
The Risen.
The Risen, and so
The Risen.
he's making his own group of these Fallen that he's basically pardoned, and if they are truly fall to chaos, he just chops them in half.
Yeah.
But the Dark Angels don't really know what to make of it. Here's their gene sire, their father of the chapter, forgiving these traitors, and it's causing some tension, some rifts, and it's a really interesting lore that I hope they develop further. What do you think as a Dark Angels fan about that?
I think it's awesome. I like to see the progression of the story. And I love, the Lion has his basic philosophy is if they didn't actually fall to chaos, if they've just gone out in the galaxy and like a lot of them are just like working as mercenaries and things, those ones he's willing to forgive if they're basically willing to say, like, we messed up. We shouldn't have followed this guy, we're sorry, then he gives them a chance to atone. But if they've fallen in with chaos, death.
Dark Angels. There's a bit of a lore thing there that people like to joke about and stuff like that because of their dark secrets. And are these really the loyalist parts, or did the traitors win and they're hunting down the loyalists? In your opinion, are the Dark Angels as a whole, are they loyalists or are they traitors?
I think that they are the loyalist faction. I think that they just have some really bad ideas about what their priorities should be. I think they legitimately want to wipe out the perceived sins of their brothers turning traitor. And if you think about it, like if you read any of the Horus Heresy books, it really fits with the Lion's whole kind of attitude during that time period. He was a very stern, no forgiveness, things are this one way and no other way kind of thing. And so I think it very much fits that. Also, I think the fact that the Watchers in the Dark, like
these mysterious beings.
Yeah, they'll follow like Azrael and some of the others around. They wouldn't do that if these were the bad Dark Angels.
Unless they're little chaos demons. It's a Nurgling in a trench coat.
It's not a Nurgling in a trench coat. They're their own little things. They're 40k Jawas, but
we have no idea what these Watchers of the Dark are. They're little beings like that are cloaked and they just walk around and hand out swords.
We actually have a pretty good idea of what they are. They're extra-dimensional beings who are actually, they were originally part of the Cabal. So the group of aliens that wanted Horus to win the Horus Heresy. The reason was they predicted that if the traitors won, Horus would defeat the Emperor, and then Horus would be so consumed by guilt, he would turn on his brothers, and they would basically, all of humanity would get eradicated, and the loss of the human race would actually starve the Chaos Gods.
I think it's a bit of a far-fetched idea, if you ask me. All right, so let's get back to your army here for a second here. Why don't you walk us through here? I mean, is there anything you want to point out and show it to us? So we got a Land Raider over here.
Yeah.
Extra custom work on that. That's beautifully done.
Yes, the doors, like the assault ramp door here and the side doors are all 3D printed custom bits. Yeah, in retrospect, I actually wish I'd painted this differently, and I may get another Land Raider Redeemer because I have these aggressors right here.
Yeah.
So we talked about the wings. There used to be more wings.
Yeah.
And there was one called the Dreadwing, and the Dreadwing used terror weapons. My headcanon for this squad is that they actually are an unbroken lineage to a unit from the original Dreadwing.
Well, that's fun.
They're done still in old Dreadwing colors of the black, red, and gold. And what I want to do is get a Land Raider Redeemer in that color scheme for them to come out of.
That'd be kind of cool.
I will say, like, you want to talk again about progression. These were some of the first Deathwing guys that I painted.
They're still really, really good, man.
They're okay. I have gone through a progression on working on the Deathwing color scheme. It's very hard to get right. And the Leviathan Terminator squad is the first time I feel really happy with how the color scheme has come out. Like,
Solid work. Is this airbrush work?
this is mostly airbrush work.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. Well done.
Thanks. I try and color code also. Officers and sergeants get a gold shoulder
Oh,
pad.
it is a cool gold shoulder pad. Makes sense.
And then
yeah.
the sergeant of this squad has that too. He has a
Awesome.
gold lion. And then the rest of his squad has silver.
Nice. I think you've done a great job. I love the color scheme. Dark Angels Classic is always a beautiful color scheme, but you've done a great job just picking out those details and really making it shine. I do got to draw attention to this. What the heck is this?
That would be a Dead Crisis suit.
Yeah, I know.
That he is stomping on, in fact. He's got his boot down on there. He's blown a hole through the head of the Crisis suit.
Yeah, I see. I'm
Yeah.
very disappointed.
He's there doing the good work of destroying those awful Tau Crisis suits.
Being a part of a hobby like this and assembling this, this is a big investment. Not only is
yeah.
it monetarily a big investment, there's a lot of dollars that are represented here, but it's time, painting, assembling, gluing, playing, learning how to play the game. I gotta ask. I love asking this. What does this hobby mean for you? Like, what does it mean to be able to do this and partake in this?
Painting is almost meditative for me. I get in a zone. A lot of times I'll either have a podcast or I'll have a Horus Heresy audiobook, and I just get in a zone. I'm somebody who's really big on progressing in something and working at something to get better, and I get a lot out of going from this, which is fine, it's a little bland, to painting something like this lieutenant.
Yeah, he's got so much detail on him.
So just that progress itself to me is like a dopamine cycle.
Nice. You like to see yourself improve.
Yeah, I like to see myself improve. I like to make progress on things. It's funny because, like I said, I thought, I can't do the painting, I can't do the hobbying, but I really want to play the wargaming.
Yeah.
And honestly, the hobbying now is more important to me than the actual gaming side of it.
Oh, why is that?
I don't know. I mean, I love playing the game, don't get me wrong. I don't think you're gonna see me winning any GTs or anything, or even probably attending one. I love playing. I love playing with we have a Seattle area play-on group.
Cool.
That meets up and we play games, we have tournaments, and I love doing that, but I get so much out of just doing the hobby and seeing, opening a box and you just have pieces on plastic sprues, and to see that progress as you first build, and even by the time I've finished building, I'm like, oh wow, look at that, right? And then to paint it, like if I don't finish something in one sitting, what will inevitably happen is my painting desk is in my office. I'll find myself, as I'm wandering back through the area, just going back to my painting desk, turning the light back on and just picking up a model and looking at it again and being like, okay, I like that, I don't like that, I need to remember to, so it just sticks in my brain in a really good way.
Cool. This hobby can mean so much to so many people, and it's a pleasure to share it with other people. It's a pleasure to, I love the social aspect, being able to meet and play with other people. I love being able to see other people's creation, get inspired by that. And thank you so much for bringing your collection today into the studio and inspiring us with that today.
Oh, thanks. And I just want to say to anyone who might be watching who feels the way I used to feel, like that you are interested in Warhammer, whether it's 40K or Age of Sigmar or any tabletop game like this, and you think that the hobbying portion of it is something you can't do or it intimidates you, try it. You might surprise yourself and you might find that you're gonna love it.
Well, thank you so much, David, for coming in and showing your stuff. And now let us know what you think of his beautiful Dark Angels. And what do you think? Dark Angels? Traitors? Heretics? Let's find out.
Cow, fish?
Until we see you next time,
Play on.